Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar. Today we're still talking about fractions. Today we're going to go over addition and subtraction. Before we start with our webinar for today, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Miriam. I'm here with Penn Foster since October 2015. I am certified to teach high school math in the state of Pennsylvania since 2010, and I also earned my master's degree last year in education. Today we're going to go over some objectives that the section on that unit goes over, adding fractions, different kind of fractions. We're going to go over like fractions, unlike fractions, like mixed numbers, unlike mixed numbers, how to find a common multiple or a common denominator. And hopefully by the end of this webinar, you have enough practice and also enough knowledge about this section of the unit that when you go back to the unit and read it, it makes more sense to you. Let's start with the easiest kind of questions that you may get with when you add fractions. The easiest topic is that when you have two fractions have the same denominator. If you remember from the first webinar we did last week, and it's also available now on YouTube channel, the like fractions mean simply that they have the same denominators. It does not do anything with the value of the fractions, just merely that they have the same number in the denominator. We call them like fractions. When we add like fractions, it's very simple. What we need to do is to add the numerators, the top parts. So for this question number A, we're going to add 24 plus 11, the numerators, and that will give you 35. We are not going to add 150 and 150 to give us 300. We have to keep the denominator the same. When you add a fraction, it's not enough only to just add. You have to simplify your answer if possible. If you go back to our webinar again for last week, we did go over how to simplify a fraction. And just to remind you, simplifying a fraction means that we eliminate any common factors between the top number and the bottom number. I see a 35 ending with a 5 and 150 ending with a 0. From my knowledge about numbers, I know that 5 is a common factor. Eliminate the 5 by dividing over 5 top and bottom. And that will eliminate it and reduce the fraction to the simplest form. 35 divided by 5 is a 7. 150 divided by 5 is 30. Let's look at 7 and 30. Anything common? And the answer is no. There's no common factors between 7 and 30, so this is your answer. 7 over 30 is the sum of these two fractions. Number B, it's a mixed number plus a mixed number. What should we do in this case? Again, look at the fraction part. Like fractions, that's the easy kind of addition. So in this case, just add the whole numbers, add the numerators, and keep the denominators the same. 1 and 3 is 4. 1 and 2 is 3. And then keep the 4 in the denominator. 3 and 4, there's nothing common, so this is the final answer. It is in simplest form already. Let's look at number C. Number C, I have a star beside it because there is something different about simplifying the fraction when we add the fraction. So any question in this webinar having those stars, it means that it is a special question. You may see it in the exam, you may see it in the practice, and this is how we do this kind of question. And again, mixed number plus a mixed number both have a 17 and the denominator like fractions, then this is the easy kind of the problems. 3 and 5 will give you 8. 4 and 15 will give you 19 on the top. And of course, you have to keep the 17 on the bottom. Now, this is not in simplest form. There is no common factors between 19 and 17, but the fraction part of this answer is an improper fraction. And that makes our answer not in simplest form. To make it in simplest form, to put the answer in simplest form, we have to simplify the improper fraction to the mixed number form. And we do that by writing the fraction, which is an improper fraction, into two parts. The first would be 17 over 17. Remember, an improper fraction values more than one or more. So the 17 over 17 is a 1. Anything over itself is a 1 whole. Now, what is the leftovers from the 19 if we take away 17? 2. Then the other part that represents this original fraction is 2 over 17. Now I'm going to take the 17 over 17. I'm going to think about it as a 1, number 1. And I have a whole number, 8. Add them together, 8 and 1 will give you 9. So the answer would be 9 and 2 over 17. And this is the simplest form of the sum. Well, this answer is correct. That is not in simplest form. This answer is correct and in simplest form. Number D, 13 and 3 over 4 plus 5 over 4. Again, mixed numbers, same denominators. I always have to mention to myself, what do I have in my problem? That is a reminder. So I hope that you do the same thing. You have to speak loud, but remember, remind yourself, what do you have on the problem? What kind of a problem you have? So that way you know which directions you're going to go. Now, 13 plus nothing is 13. There's no whole number there, so it's going to be 13. And 3 and 5 is 8. And 4 will stay the same. Look at the fraction. 8 over 4. It's an improper fraction, but 8 over 4 we know is what? 8 divided by 4 is what? Is a whole number 2. So this is actually a whole number 2. And I have a whole number 13. Add 13 and 2 will give you 15. And yes, the answer is a whole number, even though we started out by adding a mixed number and a fraction. So it is possible that your sum of two different fractions would be a whole number. If you do everything correct, and this is your answer, then it's your answer. These questions that I have throughout the webinars are self-checks. The self-checks are just questions for you to try the concept that we have just gone through together. These questions are not graded. These questions are given to you to self-assess yourself and see where you are from understanding that topic. So again, the question on the screen is two mixed numbers added. They have the same denominator. They are like mixed numbers. So what do we do? What do you think? Write the question on a paper. Think about it, do the same process that we have been doing so far, and see which answer is the sum, A, B, C, or D. Remember that whenever you add, you need to also simplify your answer. In the exam, the answer displayed in the answer choices in simplest form. So even if an answer does not make sense, try to add, simplify, and then pick your answer. Okay, let's then move on to the question and see how can we add. Again, two mixed numbers with the same denominators. They are like mixed numbers, so simply add. 2 and 1 is 3. 1 and 3 is 4 on the top, and then 8 will remain on the denominator. Now, 3 and 4 over 8 is what? 4 and 8. There is a common factor between 4 and 8, so this is not my simplest answer. I have to divide over what? What is the common factor between 4 and 8? Use your knowledge of the multiplication table. Divide over 4 and divide over 4. Do not divide the 3 over 4, just a fraction. We're trying to reduce the fraction. Equals to 3 and 1 over 2. So the answer is 3.5, which is B. This is another question on the same topic. 2 and 4 over 5 plus 1 and 2 over 5. Again, look at the question. What kind of question is that? This is like fractions or like mixed numbers. So what steps do we have to take to add the two mixed numbers? Again, write down the question. Try to be neat when you write your numbers so everything is clear which number belongs to which fraction. And do step by step and find out the simplified sum of this or these fractions. 2 and 4 over 5 plus 1 and 2 over 5. Remember, if you have an improper fraction part of your answer, you have to do something to make it in simplest form. You need to think about the improper fraction in terms of what and what. Write down everything that you think about on paper and see if it does make sense, and then go to the next step to write your final answer. Okay, let's do the question together. Again, the question has two mixed numbers with the same denominator. I'm going to repeat myself a lot in this webinar. It is because the more you hear it, the more you see it, the more you do it then. After we end the webinar, you're going to do the same thing by your own. So the same denominators, then we're going to do add the whole numbers. 1 and 2 is 3. 4 and 2 is 6, and then keep the 5. This is not in simplest form. 6 over 5 is an improper fraction. An improper fraction means that the answer is not in simplest form. Break down the improper fraction to two other fractions. 5 over 5 would make a whole number 1. And then the leftover 6 minus 5 is a 1. 1 over 5 is the leftover. 5 over 5 is a whole 1. 1 and 3 will give you the 4. And then the leftover would be the fraction part of the answer. So the answer is 4 and 1/5. So A is the correct answer.